Now then, in this episode I'm visiting Keith Brazier and his Midschool collection located just south of Birmingham here in the UK. As a huge devotee to Midschool freestyle legend Jay Miron, Keith has amassed over the years a collection of bikes that have been built to an almost obsessive detail. Bikes that Jay Miron himself would be hard pushed to say were copies of the ones he rode in his heyday. The attention to detail is astonishing, and the bikes bring into perspective what Miron actually achieved with his bikes and why he was nicknamed the Canadian Beast. Keith's collection is all the more admirable when you take into account the fact that Schwinn and XS components were not really available here in the UK unless in the form of the lower end completes, and even then they didn't get a decent foothold in the UK market in the same way that GT, Haro and Mongoose managed. I know that I wanted the XS 4x4 hubs, but plaited fog in a jar would have been easier to buy back then. What you see today is a collection that has been slimmed down considerably over recent years. The remains are what Keith holds dearest and are likely to stay with him until the end of his days. Let's take a closer look, shall we?
So, what we're left with here out of your Hoffman collection, the Big Daddy.
So we're left with the Big Daddy, which has been built up as close as I can get it to the as Jay had his. I know the seat.
Did Jay ride the Big Daddy?
Yep.
Right.
There's photos of him riding it. But he had black bars. He had a different seat post. Nobody knows what kind of seats he had. Don't know where he got his seats from, but they were lovely seats, whatever seats he had on.
Right.
You know, I've built it up as close as I can get it with the red pedals, the Shimano pedals.
Yeah. Silencer.
Even the levers, you read these things.
The Pops Tech.
Yeah. Even though, like, they get in your way and they bang your hands on it, he always rid them. You know, I don't know why he just liked these. But to get your hands on all this, I mean, the bars, they just came up. The actual guy that runs...
Which bars are these? Are this the Patriots?
These are the Patriots, yeah. But these bars came up one morning and his van had been broken into and he needed to replace his tools so he could carry on working. So we had these for about £280, I think it was. And I just bought them. I said, I'll have them.
How long ago was that?
That was about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, and they were still fetching close to 300 quid then.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
But they're immaculate like this.
Well, yeah, again, the chrome that they did back then, it was just another level, wasn't it?
These were probably the best the Patriot bars I bought, and I had about 5 pairs at one point. But these were the ones that were the mint.
Yeah.
And I kept them because obviously the sticker's really nice as well.
Yeah. So, repop stickers are originals?
They're repops because this frame was actually white at one time, and I had it re-chromed.
Oh, you've had that re-chromed, have you? Right, so someone hadn't just rattle-canned over it in white.
Yeah, it was white. It was a scruffy white.
Yeah.
And I just have it stripped and then re-chromed. A guy over in I used to ride with in Dudley did it for me.
All right.
When I handed him the Big Daddy, he was like, "Oh my God, a Big Daddy!" He couldn't believe it. You know, he couldn't believe he was seeing a Big Daddy after all the years. Like, you know. Yeah.
Grips on the crossbars for catching the bars on bar spins. I was going to say it seems to be quite a theme you've got going on there. Again, is that from what you've seen?
Yeah, like Jay always ran his grips down the bars. Apart from when he went on to the red Canadian Beast, he didn't run the grips down the bars for some reason. I don't know why. He just had enough of it, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
But he did do it on the white Canadian Beast. On this one here. He run the grips down, but on the red one he'd had enough at that point and he didn't do it.
And as we discussed earlier, like Schwinn, as far as the freestyle bikes, they just never really got into this country, did they?
No, these are the only ones in the country. These are the the US made Schwinns. The only other one I did have, I sold to Matt Sully, and he's got that in his collection also.
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned earlier, not long after getting here, my mate had one. I think he commented on one of your posts recently. Oh, I had such and such back in there because he couldn't afford an American made.
Yeah,
and he rode it into the ground and finally changed up to a Gen 2 DK Sob. But yeah, he was busting handrails on it and whatnot for fun. So, but yeah, and I remember when the XS 4x4 hubs sort of first started getting exposure in the magazines, mainly Ride, BMX, US.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I have got to have a set of those hubs. No chance. You're in UK, not a chance.
No, these all came from the US.
Yeah.
That set there I had to have redone, repainted to have them red anyway. So it's because that's exactly how Jay had his. But
they're powder coated.
They're powder coated.
Yeah.
And I've just been quite lucky. I've had someone powder coat the frames for me. A guy over Birmingham ways, and the hubs and that. I've had Hibbs do the stems for me, build these stems up. There was even a guy building, making silencer pegs. He actually made some. I think he made about 15 pairs of them, or something like that, and he sold them all off. So I had a pair of them off him.
Yeah.
And bit by bit, with everyone's help, and feeling a bit like, I want to help him out. Let's sell him this, and this. They've sold me bits and pieces, and I'm very grateful for what they sold me.
Yeah.
And I've managed to build them all up as I've.
Because I mean, you've got a lot of basic silencer pegs going on.
Yeah.
You've got a basic bars.
Yeah.
You've got bloody love goat pegs.
Yeah.
Hence teeth, as we discussed earlier.
A basic sprocket as well.
Basic sprocket on that one. Yeah. So yeah, it's
and it's all hard to find. It's hard to get. A lot of this stuff had to come from the US and Canada and then all these different places. And at one point, I think I had the most silencers in the country because I think I had them on 4 bikes or 5 bikes. So I had.
Was that you just dropping lucky, finding them and snapping them up?
I just kept asking and badgering people, and then eventually someone said, "I know where there's some of those. I'll ask them if they want to sell." And then the next thing you know, somebody else pops up. "Oh, I've got 2 of them. Are you interested in buying 2?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll buy them." And I just kept buying them and buying them and buying them. Eventually, I got them all on my bikes. I was thinking, man, that's pretty fucking cool. That's awesome. But then people kept saying to me, "Where are you finding all these pegs?" And I'm like, I just keep asking, asking the right questions. And I kind of exhausted Facebook at one point. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to jump on Instagram because somebody said something about Instagram. And that's when I started finding even more stuff. But I'm not like Nick Bevan going to Germany and Russia and all these places.
I don't think there's a continent he hasn't touched or hasn't had something from. Jesus, he's merciless on his searching and hunting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Nick's honestly, he's hooked me up so many times, and I felt like I've repaid him the favour with the basic frame he had off he had off the guy in Canada, and he's been a good guy to know.
Yeah.
He's always tried to help me out.
So moving on to the Red Canadian Beast.
Yes.
Pretty much an identical copy to what Jay rode.
So yeah, pretty much down to the bars, the stem, the forks, the tyres, the hubs, the seat, pedals, sprockets. These Schwinn sprockets, they're very thick, very big, but they're very hard to get hold of. And I was super lucky again to find 2 of them. To put on
what are the cranks on that? Because they're not XS cranks, are they?
They're not XS cranks. They're actually Harrow cranks that I had on my Harrow Mirror Pro.
Right.
But when I put them next to, I had a look at the photos and I thought they look exactly the same. So I'm just going to get them powder coated and stick them on here.
Fair enough. Job done. Oh, yeah. I've just managed to get some XS oversize. I forget what they're called now, but they're the oversized aftermarket cranks. XS from the States for my project that I've got going on. But I was looking at the prices because there's a Schwinn group, isn't there, on Facebook as well, and I was looking at some of the stuff that they're bandying about on there and the price, and I'm just thinking, I managed to get a set for a reasonable price to my mind, but reasonable to me might not be reasonable to somebody else. But yeah, I was pretty pleased to get them. There were ones with a bubble on, the bubble XS. So there were some with stickers, but I want it to be absolutely bang on.
Yeah. So
what are these bars?
they
power
are
lights.
We the People.
Ah, the Everlasts.
I can't remember what they were named. I can't remember what they're named. They're just We the People bars.
I'm sure they were Everlast bars.
Jay rid them on the red and white Canadian.
They were supposed to be indestructible.
Well, yeah,
and I've yet to see a set broken or bent. A couple of friends of mine ran them. And
Zach Shaw would read these.
That's right, yeah.
Zach Shaw would ride quite a lot of them. I actually got into touch with Zach Shaw and he sent me some stickers. He had some Jay Miron stickers, and see, everyone tried to help me out. If someone read something like, oh, this guy, blah blah, Jay Miron, blah blah, there's like, oh, I've got some stickers, oh, I've got this, I've got that, and then they all contacted me. Oh, you want this? And can I have it for such and such? And I was like, yeah, I bought everything I possibly could.
Yeah. And like you say, you get some, and it's just whatever, give us postage.
Yeah.
Or they're just surprised you and it turns up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, whoa! That is an amazing thing for us being in the mid-school sort of scene, like the generosity of some people and the ability to just help out or point you in the right direction or something. I bloody love it. Absolutely love it.
I just can't believe what was still out there, to be honest. I mean, even to these Hoffman stems, I'd only seen those on like videos, you know, like of Mad Matt and all that.
Yeah.
Mad Matt videos, that block stem, Hoffman block stem. But when I first got one, I got one off a friend off Australia, Shano. He got one, and he was riding it when I was out there on his bike still.
Bloody hell!
And I sweet talked him, and he sent it out to me, and I got it, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I got another one, and then I got another one, and they just started popping up everywhere. And then people saying again,
like the basic.
Where are you getting these block stems from? I'm like, well, I've had one from Australia, I've had two from America. Some other guy had one, and they've all come to me in rough state. Yeah. I've had sent them off to someone, they've polished them up and sent them back. And even one stem was knackered. It was actually ground down here. It was actually ground down. I give it to Hibbs. Hibbs did a job on it. Honestly, when it came back to me, you wouldn't notice.
Like new.
Like brand new. Unbelievable. The guy is talented. Talent is unreal. You give him something.
Hibbs is probably going to get some emails and direct messages off back of this.
I mean, look at these stems he's made for me. You know, these Schwinn stems. I give him all the dimensions, and he's like, they are what they are. You know, they are Schwinn stems.
So where did you get the dimensions from? Did you have an existing?
I'd got another stem that was cut off here somewhere, but it was pretty much the same size as that. So I sent him the stem with what I reckon it should have been like. I drew it out and stuff. And everything. That's what he did. He built it.
Bloody hell!
He's
That's
very
talent, that, isn't it?
He's very good. Very good.
Skills.
I still need to buy one more off you, Hibbs.
Oh, he's going to, like I say, he's going to have people knocking on his door.
I need to get one on this bike, and then they're all set up there now.
Yeah. No. So moving on to the, what do we say? This one is the Torque Flight, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Torque Flight, and this is the bike that, not the exact bike, the real bike, but this is the bike pretty much set up exactly the way Jay Miron had his bike set up when he did the 540 tail whip at the, I think it was Orlando.
That 96?
I think it was 96. Yeah, it must be 96, 97. I think it might be 97.
Yeah.
And he rid this bike, and it was at the BS contests, and he did the first 540 whip on it. But you felt the weight of them, and how he did it, I don't know.
The mind boggles. Yeah. The mind boggles. It's got to be getting on for £50 easily.
Yeah, and he chucked it around like it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know, double bar spins, 540 one-on-one foots, 540 whips, double bar, you know, anything, you know, he just did it on it and did it. I mean, he did 360 Superman sea crab. I think the first ever I ever seen 360 Superman sea crab across the box on that bike.
Yeah.
You know, and you felt the weight of it. It's just so heavy.
Should be good. So
yeah, so then you got this one, and this was built up to be the same as the bike he had in the 2006 X Games
Jay Miron's
Jay
2006.
Miron's,
Yeah.
And he rid the street and he rid the dirt on it. Actually, no, he didn't. He rid the street on this, and then he had a like a greenish sort of speckledy frame, and he rid that on the dirt. And
Would it have been the same frame?
No, no. He had two bikes. He had one set up for the street,
Yeah,
and he had one set up for the dirt. But this frame, I've got to shout out Sen for hooking me up with this one. He bought it and he gave it to me. He drove down here and handed it to me, and I was just like, oh my God. That was my first Schwinn. And then I got that one.
Yeah.
Then I got that one. Then I got that one. Yeah. And then I got another one, and I sold that to Matt Sully. Matt's got it.
What are you round? Round. So tell us a little bit about the odd one out, the GT.
So this is a very, very special bike. This is my little brother's bike, and I think a lot of people have seen the photos of when we had a photo taken with Matt Hoffman with the 1995 Backyard Jam, and these stickers are from that competition. We met Matt, we met Dennis, we met Mike Ockerbock, Taj, you name it, they were all there. Fids,
Yeah,
Morris,
the full shebang.
The 1995 Backyard Jam was the best. I know the vert competition was ruined because of the rain, but we still seen Matt do his tricks and all that. Unfortunately, like a week after the jam on the Saturday, my little brother was killed in a car accident.
Oh shit.
So he was only 13 years old.
Oh man.
I was 15.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
So this is his bike.
I've been here all afternoon thinking like your brother's somewhere else, and he just gave you this because you know he knows that you're into collecting.
No, this was his bike. This is as he left it. I've never touched it. It's always been in the loft.
Yeah.
I've only built it up today just to give it a bit of, you know, just basically people to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even down to this, that's his. He had that in. I think we just come back from Gran Canaria, and he put that on the bike, and it's never been touched. No, when we bought this bike for him, the guy was selling it, and he said, "I've got a bash guard in the thing," and he said, "Oh, I'd love a bash guard," and I said, "Well, can you throw that in with the deal?" And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, if you bring the money to me on the day you tell me." In 2 or 3 weeks time, when you tell me, I'll throw the bash guard in with you. And then I remember we walking away from the house, and he gave me a hug. He was like, "Oh God, you got me a bash guard for nothing." And I was like, he was really chuffed, and he couldn't wait to get it on the bike, you know. And I had a Vertigo, and he had this Performer, you know, the mags. And and you know, these were the bikes back in the day. You know, these were the
that Pitbull. That wouldn't have had a Pitbull on though, would it? From new.
Yeah,
would it?
Yeah, because this is a Performer.
Ah, of course. This
is the one down from the Freestyle, and the one up from the Vertigo. This is the mid one.
Got you.
So this bike was better than the one I'd got. And it was always typical that he got a better bike than me.
Right.
Everything he got, he was better than me.
Did you say you were younger than you?
He was younger than me.
Right, but still better.
He did no footers before me.
Proper talent,
one-handers. You know, he was always one step ahead of me.
Yeah.
Because I was always quite held back and nervous and stuff.
Right. He was a sender.
He was. And I mean, when we used to scrap quite a bit when we were kids, and we'd always send him in to go and throw the first punch.
Cannon fodder.
And then we'd all go in and, you know,
bloody brilliant,
and fight. But this is as he left it, and I've never touched it. I've never rid it. I've only just put some more air in the tyres because the air had completely gone out of them. But
old 80s screw-on pegs. What year would this have been then?
This is 93.
93.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was mine. That was the year I started riding, 1993.
Yeah.
This is 93. My GT that I had was a 93, and my Vertigo was a 93 as well.
That's a lovely bit of history there.
Yeah.
Really is.
It'll probably stay with me till I pop my club.
Yeah.
Some
helmets and body armour. Tell us a little bit about these.
So this is Jay Eggleston's body armour that came from a guy in America that you know, wanted to sell them to me because he knew I'd look after them, and you know, he thought I was going to be the right person to take them, because he got them up on his shelf, but I think he got a leak in his house,
right?
And so he said they were only going to get damaged. So do you want to
send them to rainy Britain?
Yeah. So I promise you I'll look after them. So I got the body armour.
And this one here, it's still got, I'm presuming, sort of dirt from some dirt jumping or something in it, and
well,
just grime and sweat.
So this was Jay Augustin's helmet here. That's the Jay Augustin's helmet. That is a very small helmet as well. If you've got a small head, you'll get your head in it, but other than that, you won't get your head in it. It's very small.
Look at the padding on it though.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's quality in it.
Yeah,
it's quality.
Very light. It's a lot lighter than it looks, isn't it?
Yeah. A nice helmet. It's the Belmoto 6. A very nice helmet. Beautiful. But the paintwork, I mean, these jobs and everything, you couldn't just pick a helmet up like that anywhere.
No.
This was done by Schwinn. They sent the helmets off and then they got somebody to do them. They do all this paintwork and stuff.
Yeah. And there it is, Eggleston on the back.
Yep. So that
Jack Pizzas, Schwinn, Toyota Airwalk.
Yeah.
Sick.
And then I've got this is Jay's helmet. This is the only thing that I possess of Jay's. It is his helmet.
So this is Jay Miron actually wore this helmet.
This is his helmet. I've got footage of him wearing it. It's all on props, you know. You watch a props video, and it's there's actually an interview with Jay in a Ride BMX US magazine, and he's riding this helmet.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. And what Jay would do, he would cut all this out, so there'd be like a piece like that when the helmets come. See this bit here?
Right. Yeah.
He didn't like that. And
I can see why.
He would cut it out himself, look.
Yeah.
And then what he'd do as well, he would chisel this away so the helmet, the visor could go a little bit higher.
Right,
See,
right.
The visor's a little bit higher.
Yeah. I suppose you want that little bit of extra room when you're on vert and you're going upside down and 360 twisting, and
so that's his helmet. So all these scuffs and everything he put on, you know, slamming and all these scuffs here.
And there's some hefty ones on that.
Yeah.
Some hefty scrapes and bumps.
But he was sponsored by all these tagging and all these different things.
Jack's Pizza and that.
To be honest, all the foam when I got it actually fell out at the back of the helmet.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about getting someone to redo that, but I thought, no, I'm not going to bother. This is how it is. This is how it came to me. I'll leave it as it is. But there's something in America, and they're basically collecting up all the memorabilia from years and years ago. And I contacted them, and I said, I've got Jay Miron's helmet. He said, oh, if you send it out to us, we'll put it in the museum we've got here.
What, on like a sort of long-term loan type thing?
I wanted it for 2 years, and then they'd send it back. And I just thought, no.
Risky business.
Yeah, because if it went, if it got lost, I'd be a bit gutted. Like, so
yeah.
I just thought, no, I'll leave it. Because someone sent out Matt Hoffman's flame helmet to them. So they've got that in a glass cabinet.
Oh, so it's still going then? The legitimate sort of establishment.
I mean, see that helmet there? Jay Miron had one of those helmets. And at the Gravity Games, he finished his vert competition and he just chucked it out into the crowd.
Into the crowd, yeah.
I'd give my left nut to get my hands on that helmet. But somebody somewhere who doesn't really give a shit about Jay Miron or, you know, BMX.
As much of a shit.
Has got it somewhere. They'll probably put it in a loft or whatever.
It's just gathering cobwebs and.
Yeah. But I'd love to get my hands on that helmet. But
I mean, when you start thinking about it, it could have been skipped or anything.
Could have been, yeah. Could have just been, you know, put in a box.
Discarded like, you know, like it was nothing.
He just got it. He just got it. He just chucked it into the crowd, and you know, all the hands went up, and somebody grabbed it. You know, and that's it.
So, and this one,
that's from Matt Sully. No, not from Matt Sully. That's from Sen. This was his helmet, and I just fancied it, and I bought it.
Yeah.
I got Matt Hoffman to sign it, And I just wanted a Belmoto 6 helmet because they were the helmet back in the day. Sorry, Belmoto 5 helmet. They were the helmet. Like everybody wore them. Jason Davies, Matt Hoffman, Jay Miron never read a Belmoto 5, but like everybody read them. And I always remember seeing these helmets in catalogues and motocross magazines. I think, man, look at that helmet, looks amazing. I mean, it's in better days. It's fallen apart a little bit, but I thought
it's been hammered as well, hasn't it? So
yeah. Dave Mirror one of these as well.
Yeah.
Dave Mirror
So Matt Hoffman signed it, what, I'm guessing 2016?
Yeah, that was when he first came over.
Was that at the MK event? MK16?
MK, yeah. I got him to sign a whole bunch of stuff.
And then we've just got a couple of sort of projects.
Yeah. So we've got the McNeil, which I just put together, and one day I may build it and put it together. And
so these were what? Were these 2001 or a bit earlier?
Somewhere around there, yeah, somewhere around there, because he'd left Schwinn at that point, and he was building his own bikes, and he'd gone down the two-piece bars, and then they come up with the pivotal seat. That was a McNeil
game changer,
yeah. I don't know whether it was Jay who did that. I think it was somebody else who did it, but it was Jay's company, so it came from there.
Yeah, well, it was McNeil where it was first brought to market, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it were a little while later that other companies were like, we'll have some of that action.
Yeah, I'll have some of that.
But yeah, game changer in terms of seat gut technology.
Yep.
Oh man, the struggle with seat guts over the years, little Allen key or even a spanner.
That seat there, I mean, I've had to put super glue in parts of that because it's just all come apart.
Yeah.
But putting it, trying to put it in.
Yeah, because you're prying it apart to get your spanner in, and yeah. Oh.
But I think Jay Miron did the first 360 double tail whip on
the McNeil.
And I think it was in Japan or somewhere like that. I remember seeing it, and he landed the first.
Did the original frame have a name, or was it just McNeil?
Miron. It was the Miron.
The Miron.
Yeah.
Right.
McNeil Miron. It was the McNeil Miron stem, Miron bars, and Miron forks.
Right.
Yeah. And then I managed to get myself a pair of the McNeil cranks, but they came out about
a bit later.
Yeah, a bit later on.
You can see the Schwinn influence though, can't you? With the top tube and the down tube
and all that.
Yeah. Just the burliness of it.
And then this Eastern, I just bought it because if I could have handed myself this frame, this bike as it is now, and just give myself it when I was 18 years old, I'd have been like, oh. But I just love the Eastern. It was a bit similar to the Menstrual that I had, but I snapped. But look at the back end. I mean, I'd never have snapped this if I'd have had it. Never have snapped it.
Look, as I mentioned earlier, I had the 98 chromoly Pork.
Yeah.
And completely sort of unique Ron Wilkinson wishbone setup. Looked pretty much indestructible, and the wishbone was I never broke it. But then again, I weren't that good. I probably weren't good enough to break it. But the end caps on the seat stays, tore one of them off. Lifetime guarantee, but it's only an end cap. It's not structural. I phoned 2Hip up, and actually, middle of the night in UK, San Francisco time, like what, 10 hours behind us or something, maybe 12.
Yeah.
And actually spoke to Ron, told him what had happened, and just said, is it okay if I get the end cap welded back on? Because I've got a guy who can TIG weld.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, no worries, and I'll honour your guarantee as well. I'm like, stoked. And then, but yeah, I've been talking to Ron Wilkinson.
Yeah.
And then a bit later on, I got the 2Hip sole. Just wanted to downsize, go a bit lighter. We're only about a pound lighter, if that.
Yeah.
Similar sort of wishbone detail, but that did crack, sort of around where the seat stay met the top tube. And that was just from all the 180s that we were doing downstairs and whatnot. It was a bad junction.
The one thing that always used to kill my bikes were 90s, because I struggled with doing spins when I was younger. So I was doing 90s and 180s, and I always used to snap frames. Then when got good and I started riding decent, the one thing that would snap the back end was whips. Right. So you got to admit, when you kick a whip, you kick it like that, and then it comes down, and the bike was coming down sideways as I was trying to get back on it, and it would jar the back end, and that's what snapped my red menstrual. I snapped the back end off it, and then my granddad said to me, "It's got to go to the tip," and I was like, "No, I'm not throwing this frame away," and he made me throw it away. Now, if I had it now, I could have sent it to Hibbs. Hibbs could have ground the back off it, put a new tube in, welded it all back up, sprayed it, and jobs are good, and there's a £400 or £500 frame.
So somewhere in a landfill, there's a menstrual cycle.
It's in Japan somewhere.
Being recycled.
Yeah, it's recycled. Years and years ago.
It's going to end up part of a circuit board.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, well, this, the pork, the Tuit pork, the Kink Empire.
Yeah.
Similar sort of head tube type detail. Yeah. I remember seeing a story in Ride UK about an Australian company, industrial bikes.
Yeah.
And very, very similar, but I don't know what happened to them. Never saw anything. I don't think they ever came to fruition, but it seemed to be a big thing round about the turn of the millennium, 98, 99, 2000.
Yeah.
The
menstrual was actually built by Colony a good couple of years ago. They built just a one-off couple of frames, I think they did, and it was built by Colony in Australia.
Yeah, they renamed it though, didn't they? It wasn't menstrual.
Yeah, it might have been something else, but it was the menstrual frame, but obviously repopped.
Yeah.
And Keith Trenner was all involved.
That's right.
As well. I think they sent one out to him. Well, they only made so many of them, but. Yeah, the S&M Menstrual is a very special frame. I did everything on that bike.
Yeah.
Every first trick I did, whips, double bar spins, Superman seat grabs, 360 truck drivers, 360 one-handers, everything I tried on that bike, I landed it.
Right. Just the right geometry.
It was just perfect for me. It was, as soon as I got on it, I just thought, this is it. This is how I'm going to get good now. And I got a redneck stem, slam bars, and I just started, like, I don't know, just give me that much confidence. And I got my big knee pads on. I just kept going for things and I'd land it.
So this collection could have been a collection of Keith Trenner bikes.
Yeah, could have been, yeah.
But it became Jay Miron.
Yeah. I just thought to myself, I've got to go down a different path to everybody, because everyone collects S&M. So that's been done a million times. And I'm not really that bothered about S&M. It's nice, but you know.
Well, it's funny because only recently have I added S&M to my collection.
Yeah.
So my collection of frames started off as the frames I had and kept.
Yeah.
And then I got a few more, and then it was like, well, I've got almost two of everything. But then I can't remember which it was now. I got a third of something. It's like, I've got to get a third of everything now. Yeah. But at this point, I've still got no S&Ms. So
it's like
a friend of mine gifted me a next-gen dirt bike.
Yeah.
I picked up locally in Manchester from the original owner a Gen 2 Bennett. So it's like, I've got to get a third S&M now.
They're nice Bennetts, they're nice frames.
No, but yeah, the allure wasn't there for me either.
No.
Benny Manzai, always banging on a bit about war pigs. Oh, you need this war pig, mate. No, mate, I don't like them. And I think it was because I watched my friend Adam Watson, and he was like 3 stone wet through.
Yeah.
But he shredded, he ripped.
Yeah.
He broke 2 war pigs.
Oh.
Like,
yeah,
and it was just
solid
like,
bikes.
They're good, but they're not that
good. Yeah, but I think when I first got into all this, I wanted to do something different to what everyone else. There was standard guys, there was S&M guys, there was Hoffman guys, all these sort of things. And I knew I needed to go down the Hoffman route, but I thought to myself, what can I do that's a bit different to what everybody else is doing? And I thought, well, who's my favourite rider? You know, Jay Miron, blah, blah, blah. So I just thought, well, I'll see if I can get my hands on this. I'll see if I can get my hands on this. And then it just snowballed then. And then, I was finding condors and the condors that Jay read, and the Big Daddy. And then And then I thought, well, I've got to get myself Schwinns now, and then, you know, blah, 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 and then just went through them. And obviously the McNeils, they were knocking about on eBay, so I managed to grab about 3 of those. I've still got a black one up in the loft, and this one, and I sold one to a guy in New York. Right. He bought it off me. But yeah, you know, you just want to do something a bit different to what everybody else is doing, don't you? You don't want to go down the same path as everybody else.
Yeah. I must admit though. Hey, come on. We got an interloper.
Come on. Hello.
Come on.
Hello.
Out. Come on, you as well. Oh, you staying, are you? You're privileged.
Eddie, get here. Bobby, can you shut that door for me, please? Dog's in. Get in.
Hey.
Get in. Go on, Bobby, take him in.
Oh, yeah, the Hoffman things, again, same with S&M. I never really saw the allure to them. Like I said, I had several friends that rode them. But if there is one Hoffman I'd have, it'd be a Flash.
Yeah,
with the ADs, AD 990s.
There's a couple of guys down here in Bromsgrove that live in Catshill, and they've got a Flash down there, and it's nice. He's got the dropouts at the bottom and the gusset, and he's tastefully put it together. It's nice. But what happened was with the Big Daddy, the reason why I've kept the Big Daddy and got rid of the Condors is because when I was a kid, I actually had a Big Daddy, and it was one of these. It was the Ramproom one, and I went over to Bearwood Park in Birmingham, and I got nicked basically. 3 lads come up to me, one grabbed me around the neck, another one grabbed the bike, and another one was pulling me to the floor. They took my bike off me, and that was it. So when I finally got my hands on a Big Daddy again, I thought I've got to keep it, because that bike, I love that bike, and to have it nicked was just devastating. What
were you doing? Were you just going to ride, or coming home from riding? Right.
My mum had dropped me off there, so I was riding the skate park, and I was just sat there, and this lad came across, and I seen him, and I thought, what's he doing? And he come and walked up to me, yo, what bike's this? What bike's this? You know, as they do. And I was just like, I just played it down. I said, it's just nothing good. Yeah. But it was off for me, Daddy. And he was like, yo, man, no, gives a go on your bike, man. Gives a go on your bike. I'm like, no, you're not having to go on my bike, because no one goes on my bike. Yeah. And then I just closed my eyes, and I thought, someone behind me. And there's just 2 of the lads behind me that I hadn't seen. I thought, oh shit. And then I always remember him, because I pretty much set up as that, like that. Yeah. And I always remember him grabbing onto the bar there, going, yo, give it go on your bike, give it on your bike, and pulling my bike. And I thought, oh shit. And that was it then. A couple of punches on the floor. And it was gone. They were off. Yeah, so yeah, I was gutted. So when I got my hands on another Big Daddy, I thought, this is not leaving me now. Not leaving the house. This is staying with me. And I've got it set up better than what I had my other one set up. So, and it rides pretty good as well. Right. I've really had the ramps and stuff. It's quite nice. Good stuff.
Sweet. Right. You said earlier you might have a few thanks to hand out.
I have.
Oh, crikey, he's got a list. Who have we got?
So I'd just like to thank everybody from Midschool that helped me out. I can't remember everybody's name, but I'd just like to thank everybody who's sold me stuff and helped me out. And I know I've ruffled a few feathers over the years, but I am passionate, and I'm very sorry. I'd like to thank riders from Wombourne, where I'm from. Especially Adam Worthington, who I ride my bike with. I'd like to thank the Spinny riders, so Andy and Dave Payne. Dave Payne was my hero when I was a kid. Andy still rides, and I still speak to Andy. There was PJ, Clark, Grow, Roy Watton, Jael, Belzy, Dave Lane, Bean, Tom and Joe Curlit, I think their surname was. I am going to say I'd like to thank Mark Thika, because he was a good rider back in the day, and I rode with him and he was good. There were some Australian riders that I rid with in Australia. So there was Dustin, James rides, Shano, and Kyle Baldock. Believe it or not, I rid with Kyle Baldock before he was famous. I mean, he's famous now. He's got the Killer Bee frame, but you know, I rid with him when he was a kid.
Bloody hell!
And he wasn't famous.
Yeah.
As soon as I left Australia, blew up. You know, and he was doing everything. Then the last thanks I'd like to thank was Bert, who got me into BMX. Paggers, I still speak to him now. He's such a good friend and love him to bits. And then I'd just like to thank my little brother Jamie for getting me into BMX and you know, being the best little brother I could ever wish for.
Yeah, that's great, that, Keith. Thank you very much for showing me your collection and talking at length about it.
Thank you very much.
Do you want an hand putting it away?
No, I'm fine.
Well, I hope you enjoyed meeting Keith and his collection as much as I did. That's one collector who knows his beans. Thanks, Keith. Next up for the treatment is Jonathan Sherwood. And if, like Jonathan, you like what you see and want to be involved, get in touch with me at Now That's Midschool on the Instagram. Here on YouTube, it's at Now That's Midschool, or you can email me at nowthat'smidschool@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment, and all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.